There's a plant that swallows its prey in half a millisecond, 100 times faster than the blink of your eye, using a vacuum trap the size of a grain of rice. It isn't the Venus flytrap, and it isn't even the strangest hunter in this story. Some plants don't just grow toward the light. They wait, they trigger, and they close. So why did a handful of plants give up on quiet sunshine and start eating meat? How does each one actually do it? And should you be even a little nervous keeping one on your kitchen counter? Let's walk through every famous one gently, and by the end, a windowsill will never look quite the same. Start with the bladderwort. Most folks have drifted right past one and never known it, because above the water it looks like nothing at all, just a thin, harmless little pondweed with a few small yellow flowers nodding above the surface. It seems like the most peaceful plant in the pond, but hidden along its underwater stems are hundreds of tiny sacs, each only a few millimeters across, and those sacs are among the deadliest little machines in all of nature. When a water flea or a mosquito larva brushes the fine trigger hairs on one of them, the trap springs open and sucks the creature inside in about half a millisecond. That is faster than anything else a plant is known to do, so fast the eye cannot begin to follow it. The prey is pulled in with an acceleration of around 600 times the force of gravity, a force strong enough that it would kill a person, all inside a trap you could balance on a fingertip. The way it works is beautifully simple. Each little sac pumps water out of itself ahead of time, so it sits there under tension, like a spring held down. And the moment a hair is touched, the door buckles inward, water rushes in, and the door snaps shut behind it. Then the trap quietly resets itself and waits to fire again, sometimes within just a few hours. And here is the friendly part. The reason a gardener might actually want one. A bladderwort will happily live in a container water garden or a quiet backyard pond, and as it hunts, it helps keep down the mosquito larvae that would otherwise grow up to bother you all summer. It asks for very little, just clean water low in minerals and a good deal of sun, and it floats along with no roots at all to fuss over. What makes it worth telling a friend about is the sheer surprise of it. This unremarkable little weed, the one you would step right over, holds the record as the fastest predatory plant on Earth. The deadliest hunter in this whole story is the one you would never look at twice. Now the pitcher plant. This is the one most people already picture when someone says carnivorous plant. The tall, graceful jug you see in flower shops and terrariums, shaped like a pitcher of water with a little lid on top. It looks almost too pretty to be dangerous. But some of these plants are big enough to drown an animal. The giant pitcher plant of Borneo, called Nepenthes raja, can hold as much as 2.5 liters of digestive fluid inside a single trap, and it has caught, drowned, and slowly digested rats and frogs that fell in and could not climb back out. A cousin discovered in the Philippines, named after the naturalist David Attenborough, grows as tall as 5 feet. These are not delicate little things. They are living traps you could dip a hand into. What makes them so deadly is not strength, but clever design. The rim around the mouth of the trap is covered in a microscopic film of water, so when an insect lands to sip the sweet nectar there, its feet cannot grip. It aquaplanes, the way a car slides on a wet road and slips straight down the slick inner walls into the pool below. Some pitchers add another trick, with see-through patches near the top that look like open sky. A trapped bug flies at those false windows again and again, wears itself out, and sinks. Down at the bottom, the fluid does the rest. For a gardener, the friendly news is that the American cousins, the ones called Sarracenia, are wonderful outdoors. Planted in a sunny, boggy spot, they stand up like slender trumpets and quietly swallow wasps and flies all summer long, doing you a real favor. One honest word of caution, though. If you keep a large tropical pitcher indoors and it catches a fat fly, you may smell that fly as it breaks down before you ever see it. So these do their best work out in the fresh air. And here is the detail worth passing along. High on the mountains of Borneo, the giant pitchers have struck a strange bargain with little tree shrews. The shrew climbs on, licks nectar from the lid, and does its business right into the cup, and the plant feeds on the droppings. The fearsome trap that can digest a rat also serves for one small animal as a perfectly good toilet. Now the sundew. If you have ever seen a plant that looks like it has been sprinkled with dew or tiny drops of morning rain, sparkling in the light, you have probably seen a sundew. They are sold everywhere as a good beginner's carnivore, and they truly are lovely to look at, covered in little glistening beads on the tips of slender red hairs. But those pretty drops are a trick. Not one of them is water. Every single bead is glue. An insect lands drawn in by the shine and a faint, sweet scent, and the moment it touches down, it is stuck fast. The more it struggles, the more beads it touches, and the more thoroughly it is caught. Then something slow and remarkable happens. The leaf itself begins to bend, curling inward around the trapped insect like a hand slowly closing into a fist, pressing it against even more of those sticky, digesting glands. Over hours, the plant simply dissolves its meal and drinks it in. Most sundews take their time this way, but one species from Australia is in a hurry. It grows special outer arms that act like tiny catapults, flinging an insect onto the sticky center in about 75 milliseconds, faster than you can snap your fingers. For anyone tired of little flies drifting around the house, this is the friendly one to know. A sundew on a bright windowsill is one of the best natural catchers of fungus gnats and fruit flies you can keep. It is forgiving and easy to please. It only asks for plenty of light, water that is low in minerals, like rainwater or distilled water, and no plant food at all because feeding it ordinary fertilizer will harm it. Let it catch its own dinner, and it will be happy. Two things make the sundew worth talking about at the dinner table. The first is patience. A single healthy plant can live for around 50 years, quietly hunting the whole time. The second is a bit of old kitchen history. Long ago in parts of Europe, people pressed the sticky leaves into fresh milk to help it thicken and curdle, and used the plant in home remedies as well. The same glue that traps a fly earned this little killer a gentle place in the farmhouse. Now, the cobra lily. One look at this plant, and the name makes perfect sense. It rears up out of the ground like a snake ready to strike, with a swollen hood curving over at the top and a forked leaf hanging down at the front like a serpent's tongue. It is one of the most dramatic plants a person can grow, and it hunts in a way that is more cunning than cruel. It does not snap, and it does not really grab. It fools its prey into getting lost. An insect follows a trail of nectar up that forked tongue and into the hood, and once inside, it finds itself in a strange, glowing maze. The top of the hood is dotted with dozens of clear, see-through patches that look exactly like little openings to the sky. The insect flies at them, trying to escape into the light, and bumps the false window again and again until it is worn out and slips down into the tube below. Slick walls and downward pointing hairs make sure there is no climbing back, and here is the truly odd part. Unlike most of its relatives, the cobra lily makes almost no digestive juices of its own. Instead, it rents out the job, letting a community of bacteria living inside the tube break the insect down, and then it drinks up what they leave behind. Now for an honest word, because this is a plant that asks a lot. As beautiful as it is, the cobra lily is not the one to start with. It comes from cold mountain bogs and springs, and it wants its roots kept cool, below about 65 degrees, with fresh, cool water moving past them. Let its roots bake in a hot pot and it will suffer. It rewards a patient, careful grower, and it teaches the most important lesson in this whole hobby, which is to match the plant to the conditions you can honestly give it. Here's the detail worth sharing. The cobra lily grows wild in only a narrow band of northern California and southern Oregon, and nowhere else on Earth. It was first collected back in 1841 near Mount Shasta, and the story goes that as the plant hunters gathered their strange find, a butterfly kept drifting along behind them, drawn to the very trap built to fool creatures just like it. Now the water wheel plant. Think of it as the Venus flytrap's secret cousin, the one that moved underwater and mostly disappeared from view. It floats just beneath the surface of quiet ponds, rootless and drifting, with tiny traps arranged in neat little rings around its stem, like the spokes of a wheel. Each of those traps is a miniature version of the famous snapping jaws everyone knows, and that is exactly what makes this plant so astonishing. Because down in the water wheel is faster. Its little traps slam shut in around 10 to 20 milliseconds, roughly 10 times quicker than the Venus flytrap can manage up on dry land. A water flea or a mosquito larva swims past, brushes the trigger hairs inside, and the trap folds closed around it before the creature has any idea it is in danger. The plant does this by keeping each trap under tension and then releasing it in a flash, snapping the two halves together and sealing its meal inside to be slowly digested. For something so small and delicate, it is one of the quickest movements in the entire plant kingdom. Now, in all honesty, this is not a plant for a flower bed or a windowsill. It is a specialist's treasure, something a devoted pond keeper might grow as a living curiosity rather than a beginner's first plant. And there is one important, gentle warning that comes with it. The water wheel is critically endangered in the wild, its numbers falling as the clean wetlands it needs disappear. So anyone who keeps one should make certain it came from cultivated stock, plants raised in care, never gathered from nature. Here is the part that gives a person chills in the best way. This little plant is old almost beyond imagining. Its family reaches back around 50 million years, and it is known from fossils pressed into ancient stone. Charles Darwin himself studied it, and even now it hides so well that it can seem to vanish for years at a time. One botanist searched the wild rivers and swamps of northern Australia for a full decade, hoping to find it, until one day he looked out across a still pool and saw not one plant, but thousands of them, quietly floating there, waiting, exactly as they had for ages. Now the butterwort. Of all the hunters in this story, this is the one that looks the least like a killer. It sits low to the ground in a neat little rosette of pale green leaves, shaped a bit like a starfish, and in season it sends up a delicate flower in soft purple or pink. You could set it on a shelf and never guess it was carnivorous at all. It looks gentle. It looks harmless. And that is exactly the point. Run a fingertip near one of those leaves, and you will feel the secret. The surface is faintly greasy and slick, like a pat of butter, which is where the name comes from. That buttery sheen is a coat of living flypaper, and it even gives off a faint scent that draws small insects in. A gnat lands on the shine, and it sticks. Then the plant does something quiet and patient. The very edge of the leaf slowly curls inward, cupping the trapped bug and pressing it against the surface, where the leaf gently dissolves it and feeds. This is the friendly houseplant hero of the whole group. If little fungus gnats or fruit flies drift around your other potted plants, a butterwort set right beside them will pick the pests out of the air, quietly, day after day. It is one of the easiest carnivores to please. It wants bright light that is not harsh and water low in minerals, and beyond that it mostly takes care of itself. It is safe to keep around children and around cats and dogs too, which makes it an easy one to love. There is one thing that surprises new owners though, and it is worth knowing so you do not panic. Many butterworts, especially the ones from Mexico, take a winter rest. When the cold, dry months come, they change form completely, dropping their sticky leaves and shrinking into a small, plump cluster that looks almost like a little succulent. It stops hunting and simply waits. People often think their plant is dying, when really it is only sleeping, and it will wake up sticky and hungry again come spring. And here is the detail worth passing on. Long ago, herders in northern Europe wiped these leaves along the inside of their milk pails because the same substance that digests an insect also helps thicken fresh milk into a traditional soured dish. The gentle little killer earned a quiet place in the dairy. Now the rainbow plant. This is the rarest name in the whole story, and quite possibly the most beautiful. It comes from Australia, a wispy, grass-like thing with fine threads that reach up and out in every direction, so delicate it hardly looks like a plant at all. When the morning sun hits it just right, the whole thing lights up in shimmering color, glowing red and gold and green as if someone had strung it with tiny beads of glass. That glow is where it gets its name, and that glow is also a lie. Every one of those slender threads is coated in hundreds of little droplets, and the light does not shimmer because the plant is pretty. It shimmers because sunlight is bending through wet glue. Each droplet is a dab of sticky mucilage, and to a small insect it looks like nectar, or water, or simply something worth landing on. The moment the insect touches down, it is held. As it struggles, the glue creeps over its body and clogs the tiny holes it breathes through, and the creature quietly suffocates. Then flat glands lying against the thread release their juices, and the plant absorbs its meal. It is one of the loveliest sights in all of botany, and it is built entirely to kill. For a gardener, this one is a treasure for the patient and the curious rather than a plant for the front porch. It loves strong light and warmth, so it does best under grow lights or in a bright, sheltered frame where the air stays mild. It is a step up in care, a plant for someone ready to give a little more attention, and it rewards that attention with a beauty almost nothing else can match. Here is the detail worth sharing. For more than 100 years, scientists argued about whether the rainbow plant was truly a hunter at all, since it never moved or snapped and simply sat there glittering. Only recently, in research from 2025, did they confirm it makes its own digestive juices and is fully carnivorous after all. Stranger still, it keeps company with certain assassin bugs that stroll across its deadly threads unharmed, eat the trapped insects, and leave behind droppings the plant feeds on. The most gorgeous killer here shares its catch with a partner who walks the tightrope and never sticks. And now, the one everybody has been waiting for. The Venus flytrap. When most people hear the words carnivorous plant, this is the face that comes to mind, those bright green jaws lined with a fringe of spikes, like little teeth, hinged down the middle, ready to close. It is the most famous meat eater in the plant world, and it is hiding a secret that sounds almost impossible. In its own simple way, the Venus flytrap can count. Look inside one of those open traps and you will see a few tiny hairs standing up from the surface. Those are the triggers. A single touch does nothing at all because the plant is waiting to be sure. Only when a hair is brushed twice within about 20 seconds does the trap decide something alive is truly there. And then it slams shut in less than 1/10 of a second, faster than you can blink. If the prey keeps struggling and touching those hairs, the plant reads that as good news, seals the trap tight, and begins to digest. This little counting trick is how it avoids wasting all that energy on a raindrop or a bit of blown leaf. Now here is the part every new owner needs to hear, because kindness is what usually kills this plant. It does not want rich soil, and it does not want tap water. The minerals in tap water slowly poison it, so it needs rainwater or distilled water instead. It wants poor, boggy soil, plenty of bright sun, and a real winter rest each year. And please, as tempting as it is, do not tease the traps shut for fun. Every snap costs the plant energy, and a trap that is triggered over and over with nothing to eat simply wears out and dies. Two last things worth knowing. For all its worldwide fame, the Venus flytrap grows wild in just one small corner of the Carolinas and nowhere else on the planet, which is why taking it from the wild there is now a serious crime. And after all this talk of jaws and hunting and killing, here is the gentle truth that ties the whole story together. This plant cannot hurt you. The trap is far too weak to harm a fingertip, and it is completely non-toxic to children, to cats, and to dogs. The most fearsome-looking plant on Earth is one of the safest things you could ever keep by your kitchen sink, and that, in the end, is the quiet wonder of all these hunters. They eat meat only because the poor, wet ground they live in cannot feed them, so they learn to catch their own. Give them clean water, bright light, and a little understanding, and these strange, deadly, beautiful plants will live happily right alongside you. Thank you for watching. If you want another story right now, there is one waiting for you on your screen. And if you enjoyed this one, subscribe so you never miss the next.